Hey, what's up guys, my name's Ryder and today I'm going to give you a test of this Ridge Ryder 4-wheel drive air compressor. Now this air compressor was sent to me by Supercheap Auto to test and review. And as you can see from the mud on the carry bag, I've already taken it out in the bush for a test. However, when I took it out last time, the weather was absolutely appalling and I didn't want to wreck my camera gear, so unfortunately I didn't get any footage. So today in the review, we're going to have a proper look at this air compressor. So first of all, you can see it comes in a small, nice carry bag, which is easy to pick up and store away in the back of your vehicle. Now this is the actual air compressor itself. As you can see, it's a decent sized unit with a nice handle to carry it. Your switch to operate the compressor is right here, which you can turn on and off with ease. And it's powered by these two cords you connect straight onto your battery. Another nice feature of this air compressor is this base plate, which allows you to place the compressor on sand and mud and keeps it stable and stops it from falling over. As well as the compressor, you get your air compressor hose and your tyre gauge and valve attachment. As well as that, the kit also comes with a spare filter for the compressor and different fittings you can attach to the end of your airline. Now that I've shown you what this kit contains, I'll give you a run through of how to use this kit and then I'll give you my thoughts and opinions. Now when it comes to deflating the tyres on your vehicle, you can actually use the fitting from the compressor to deflate the tyres. So what you want to do is unscrew your cap and then just hook up your fitting. And then you've got a handy gauge here to tell how much pressure you've got in the tyre. Behind the gauge, you've got a little release valve you can use to deflate the tyre. Now this little valve does take quite a while to release air. So what you can actually do is use the tip of your actual valve cap on an angle and just place it against the valve to much quicker release the air. Once it looks like you've released enough pressure from the tyre, you can then check it on the gauge itself and you can fine tune the pressure release with the button on the back. Now that you've deflated your tyre pressure, I'll show you guys how to hook up the air compressor and then pump up the tyre. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is pop the bonnet if that's where your battery is stored, as this is the power source for the compressor. Okay, so now what you want to do is grab your compressor and then hook it up. Now the power leads for this compressor are black and red, which denote positive and negative. First of all, you want to connect your positive and then attach your negative. Now that the compressor is connected to the power source, the next thing we want to do is connect the hose line. Now these Ridge Ryder fittings have a very easy connector. Basically you just pull back on this top bit and that allows you to plug it in. Again, you pull the end of the fitting, push it in and then release, and it's firmly connected. Now you do the same thing with your gauge fitting. Now that your compressor is set up, it's ready to use. So what you want to do from here is remove your valve cap, attach your gauge, and then you basically just turn on the compressor. Now when it looks like your tyre is inflated to the amount you want, you then go and check your gauge. I'm now at 30 psi and I'm going to run a little bit more. I'm going to run about 34 in the front. So again, I'm going to switch on the compressor and just let it put in a little bit more air. Now that I've put in a little bit more air, I can fine tune the pressure with a little valve on the back by just pressing it once or twice until I get the correct reading on the gauge. Now that I've got the correct reading, I simply disconnect the compressor, put the valve cap back on, and this tyre is ready to go back to hit the bitumen at high speeds. Now that all my tyres are pumped up, I can disconnect the compressor from the power source and put everything back away in its neat little carrying bag. Okay, so now that I've shown you how to use the air compressor, what are my final thoughts? So overall, I think it's a fairly good package by Ridge Ryder. Obviously, it packs away very nicely in this carry bag. It's easy to store and easy to pull out when you need it. The hose lengths are adequate to reach all sides of the vehicle when inflating and deflating tyres. Having the base plate on the compressor definitely makes it nice and stable, considering all the vibrations from the compressor when it's in use. And these connector fittings are very simple and easy to use. It also seems to inflate tyres very quickly, which is another great thing I like about the kit. Now, one of the dislikes I have about this kit is I'm not a big fan of this gauge and tyre attachment. Now, I live here in Australia, and here we generally use PSI to determine tyre pressures. Now, PSI on this gauge are indicated in bars of 5 PSI at a time, and I think considering I'm only using PSI range between 0 and 40, I do find the gauge a little bit difficult to read when it comes to those finer adjustments in PSI. What I would much prefer is if I could attach a more standard tyre gauge you'd find on a general industrial air compressor to the vehicle, so I can read the gauge and add pressure at the same time, rather than switching on the pump, waiting for it to look right, and then doing the fine adjustments afterwards. Other than that, I also think that having these different adapters and spare filter is a very great thing. Overall, I think it's a very good package. The air compressor works quick, it's easy to set up, and it reaches all 4 tyres. Again, I'd be looking at a different device for actually deflating tyres, and I would potentially be looking at replacing the actual gauge that comes on the compressor itself. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you're interested in purchasing this Ridge Ryder 4-wheel drive air compressor, I'm going to leave a link to it in the description below. So that's it for this video, and I'll catch you guys next time.